Let's talk about Tyron Woodley. I had a really weird revelation, if you will. And no matter how long I've been in this sport, I think I'm the smartest guy in the room and know all sorts of things about the sport. One thing that I fall for every time, I think it's one of the reasons I get to enjoy this sport as long as I have as a fan. I fall for the marketing every time. Every highlight reel, every time there's a big fight, I always buy into the new, younger guy and this interesting skill set. And no part of this do I want to sound against Till or I'm kicking a guy while he's down. I just want to tell you guys a story that I had, a personal experience. But let me rewind. Rewind to Stipe Cormier. I had Stipe from Jump Street the whole way through. Wasn't even a question Stipe's beating Cormier. And it was the day before the weigh-in. They had an open workout. Daniel Cormier does his open workout. Then he grabs a microphone. He says, guys, listen up. I am a 2.5 to 1 underdog, but before you place your bets, you should know I have never lost a wrestling match at heavyweight. I've never lost a fight at heavyweight. I've never even lost a round at heavyweight. And I remember when he said that, I remember sitting there hearing him say that and go, that's all true. Yeah, I didn't know that about. I've seen every one of Daniel's fights. I've seen 90% of all of his wrestling matches. I forgot. I walk around and remember those. I couldn't tell you guys my record. I couldn't tell you guys rounds. I just couldn't do it. So I needed him to remind me that he's never even lost a round at the weight class. And as soon as he said that, it's like the screen door smacking in the face. You go, Daniel's going to win this fight. But I bought it. I bought into it all right up until that moment. To tie that in with Tyron Woodley, they're getting ready to walk out. Man, this arena is pro Darren Till. They are going crazy for him. He had his countrymen flown over here. Then North America doesn't, because they always love what's next, right? So this building was pro Till. That's what I'm telling you. To the point they were booing Tyron Woodley. These guys are walking out, and I'm up in the booth with Ariel. We were doing a post-fight show for ESPN Plus, and I turned to Ariel 5 minutes before they throw the first punch. And I go, Ariel, there is a good possibility that this is Ngannou-Stipe all over again. There's a good possibility that this is hype. And as good as Till is, I'm not discounting that at all. Please don't take it that way. But as good as Till is, if you look at the two fights that really wowed you, Cowboy Cerrone, Stephen Thompson with Darren Till, those guys are very top-heavy with their striking, which was a similar scenario that we had with Ngannou. He had been in there and looking great against a specific kind of fighter, stand-up fighters. So when he got confronted with the wrestler, he had some big problems. And it just dawned on me right as they're walking out, and Till's already in the ring, and Woodley's being booed, and Bruce Buffer's getting to do his thing, and I turned to Ariel and go, wait a second, we just simply haven't seen enough of Darren Till. We know what a fantastic fighter he is. We know that he's awkward and he's tough and he's gritty, and when I say awkward, I mean unique style. We don't know how he's tested against grapplers. We're supposed to come into this and believe that he's going to take out a former two-time Division I All-American and the reigning world UFC champion? That's a big sell. That's a big sell into something that I had already bought. Now, I thought Woodley was going to win the fight, but I did see we were going to have a big back-and-forth battle here, and it's going to be confusing and probably go 5 rounds, and maybe the judges would have to get involved. Until all of a sudden it dawns on me, we just saw this story. It was just called Ngannou versus Stipe. It was just an untested guy against untested styles walking in to the most complete fighter in the division that's got a 12-pound gold belt around his waist to prove it. And that is what we saw. Tyron Woodley came out. He controlled the wrestling. He actually had his hardest moments with the wrestling. He got to the body lock. He held Till against the fence. He wasn't able to do a lot with it. He went for several trips. Till was able to stay big and strong, get his hips out. Till showed some really good counter wrestling. All the same, even in the absence of a takedown, for what wrestling they had, Tyron Woodley won that portion of it. I offer you that explanation because I know a lot of you are going to go, what do you mean he won the wrestling? There was no takedown. There's a lot more to wrestling than takedowns. There's positions. Anytime two guys are against the fence, whoever's back is on the fence in the eyes of the judges is losing. Tyron was able to hold him against the fence. So Tyron won the wrestling, but that was the closest. Tyron clearly won the striking. He was able to keep that range, boom, then he has that blitz ability. Tyron has that speed and that fast twitch. He can step in, boom, 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 and get out. Darren Till, known for his kicks, only threw one, and it didn't have a lot of power on it. Tyron threw a big kick, did have a lot of power. So Tyron won the striking, then he gets the big knockdown. Then he almost has a TKO. But stay with me on this because this is all relevant, and then he finishes with a submission hold. So now, let's rework this. Tyron won the wrestling, he won the striking, he won the grappling with the submission. It was as dominant as you could possibly get, and much like you saw with Ngannou versus Stipe, there was no call for a rematch. There was no need for a rematch. There will never be a rematch between Ngannou and Stipe. There will never be a call, there will never be a need, and there will never be a rematch between Till and Woodley. That is a reality, and that part can be a little bit cold. I do believe Darren Till has championships in his future. I do believe he has championship fights in his future. He's only 25 years old. But I think he's going to have to, one, either change weight classes, which is our most likely scenario, or two, Woodley's going to have to get beat. There just simply is not going to be a demand to see the fight again when all three aspects of mixed martial arts were contested and all three were won by Woodley.